Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
One introduction. In East Asia, there are many countries. Some are large nations and some are smaller islands. A big ocean separates these places. This water is very important for travel and for trade. For many years, ships have crossed this sea, carrying people and goods from one country to another. The geography of this area, with its islands and seas, plays a big part in the lives of the people who live there. The ocean connects everyone, but it also creates distance between them. Recently, the feeling in this region has started to change. There is a growing tension between some of the nations. This means that the governments do not agree on important subjects. They have different ideas about security and power in the area. This disagreement is causing worry for many people. The relationship between these countries is becoming more difficult. What was once a quiet region is now a place of serious discussion and concern. The ocean has always been a key part of life in East Asia. For a very long time, these waters were peaceful. Fishermen went out in their boats every day. Large ships moved slowly from one port to another. The sea was a space for business and for normal life. It was a shared resource for many different countries. The blue water was a symbol of connection, not a reason for problems. Families on different islands depended on the sea for their food and their jobs. Now the role of the ocean is changing. It is becoming more than just a place for fishing and trade. It is now a place where countries show their military strength. Military ships move through the waters and planes fly in the sky above. The sea is turning into a strict line that separates nations in a new way. Crossing this line without permission can cause serious problems. The once peaceful waters are becoming a place of rules and strict warnings. The tension is not only on the water, it is also in the words that leaders say. Governments are making strong statements. They are warning other countries about their actions. One country might say something, and another country will give an angry answer. These words are reported in the news around the world. They show how serious the disagreements have become. This is a story about these words, these actions, and the difficult choices that nations must make. 2. A new base. Yonaguni is a small island that is part of Japan. It is in the ocean in East Asia. The island itself is not very large, but its location is extremely important. This small piece of land has become the center of a new military plan. This plan is changing the situation in the waters between the nations. The Japanese government has decided to put a new military unit on Yonaguni Island. This is a significant decision because of the type of unit they plan to send. The government wants to place a medium-range surface-to-air missile unit there. A surface-to-air missile is a weapon used for defense. It is launched from the ground or the surface to shoot at targets in the air, like airplanes. These missiles are designed to protect an area from an attack from the sky. Japan's defense minister confirmed that the plan is happening. He said the plans were steadily moving forward, which means the project is not just an idea anymore. It is actively being worked on. The main reason this new base is so important is its location. Yonaguni Island is very close to Taiwan. The distance from the island to Taiwan's east coast is only about 110 kilometers. In military terms, this is a very short distance. Placing powerful missiles so near to a sensitive area is a major event. It changes the security situation for everyone in the region. A base that is only 110 kilometers away can watch and react to things very quickly. Because of this short distance, the new base is not just a local Japanese issue. It becomes an international topic that other countries watch very closely. The decision to build this base shows that Japan is increasing its defense abilities, especially in its southern islands. Before, Yonaguni was a quiet place. Soon, it will be an important military post with modern weapons. This action directly affects the relationships between the countries in the area. The new base on this small island is a serious development. 3. What Japan said. The world was watching the area near Taiwan very carefully. The waters between the islands were no longer quiet. Soon, leaders in the Japanese government started to speak publicly. Their words were very important and showed that things were changing. The government in Tokyo wanted to explain its thoughts about the safety of the entire region. They decided it was time to speak clearly and not stay silent about their concerns and their plans for the future. The first important person to speak was the Prime Minister, Takaichi. The Prime Minister is the head of the government in Japan. She talked about a situation that was not real yet, but one that could possibly happen. She asked everyone to think about what would happen if there was an attack on Taiwan. She then said that if such an event occurred, Japan might need to act. This action could mean using its own military forces. This was a very strong and direct message from Japan's most important leader. It meant that Tokyo would not simply watch if a conflict started so close to its own nation. This statement was new and surprising to many people around the world. For a long time after the Second World War, Japan's military was only for defending its own land. The Prime Minister's words suggested that this long-held rule could change. The idea of using the military to help defend another place was a very big step. It showed that the Japanese government believed that peace around Taiwan was extremely important for Japan's own security. Her words made other governments listen very carefully. They all wanted to understand exactly what Japan planned to do next. Soon after the Prime Minister spoke, another important leader gave more information. This was the Defense Minister, Shinjiro Koizumi. The Defense Minister's job is to be in charge of the country's military and all of its defense plans. He spoke specifically about the new missile unit planned for Yonaguni Island. He told the public that these plans were moving forward without problems. He used the words, steadily moving forward. This phrase meant that the government was serious and the project was not going to be delayed or stopped. The defense minister's words were an official confirmation. They proved that the new base on the island was a real and active project. It was not just an idea that people were talking about. The government was actually building it. By saying the plans were continuing, he was supporting the Prime Minister's earlier message. Together, their two statements created a very clear picture for the world to see. The Japanese government believed it needed to be stronger and much more prepared for any future problems. They were not only building new defenses, but they were also telling everyone about their new, stronger position. 4. The angry answer. Japan's new plans and words were not welcome in China. The government in Beijing heard the news from Tokyo and gave a very strong and angry answer. The Japanese statements about possibly helping in a conflict made the situation much more serious. China listened carefully to the plans for the new missile base on the island of Yonaguni. The answer from the Chinese Defense Ministry was direct and firm. It was a clear message to Japan about its recent actions and its new defense position. The main message from Beijing was a serious warning. China said that Japan will have to pay a painful price if it gets involved in the wrong way. This was a very clear threat. The message explained that Japan should not step out of line over the island. The Chinese government used these strong words to show that it was not happy at all. It said that if the Japanese side dares to cross the line, even half a step, there will be big problems. This painful price was not explained in detail, but the meaning was very clear. It was a strong warning to stay away. China also said that the situation with the island is its own business and nobody else's. A spokesperson from the Defense Ministry said that how to resolve the Taiwan question was a Chinese matter only. This means that they believe other countries like Japan should not be a part of it. The spokesperson said that Japan has nothing to do with this problem. China sees the issue as a domestic one. This is like a problem inside a family that other people should not get involved in. The Chinese government believes it is the only country that can decide the future of the island. The Chinese government also talked about its military strength. The Defense Ministry sent a message about the People's Liberation Army. It said the army has very powerful capabilities and reliable ways to defeat any enemy that tries to invade. This was another important part of the strong warning. It showed that China was ready to use its military power if necessary. The message was not just words. It was backed by the idea of a large and modern army. This was meant to make Japan think very carefully about its next steps and its new base so close to the island. In the end, the answer from China was very clear and could not be misunderstood. It was an angry response to Japan's recent words and defense plans. The message included a serious warning, a statement about the army's power, and the important idea that the problem was a private Chinese matter. The relationship between the two large countries became much more difficult after this angry answer was given. 5. The history. To understand the angry words between Japan and China, we must look at the past. The history between them is long and difficult. It helps to explain why feelings are so strong now. This past is like the foundation of a house. You cannot see it, but it supports everything happening today. A very important period was from the year 1895 to 1945. For 50 years, Japan controlled the island of Taiwan. For 2 generations, Japan was the government. It was not a relationship between equals. Japan was the ruler and Taiwan was its colony. This time in history is a key part of the current story. This type of control is called colonial rule. It is when a powerful country takes over another land. The ruling country makes all the big decisions about laws, schools, and money. For people living under this rule, life can be difficult. They do not have the freedom to choose their own leaders or their own future. This 50-year period left a deep mark on the island's history. This situation changed in 1945 when the Second World War ended. Japan lost the war, and its control over many places, including Taiwan, finished. A new chapter began for the island. However, the end of the rule did not erase the memories of those 50 years. Today, China remembers this history with anger. When Japan talks about defending Taiwan, China sees it as a country trying to interfere again. A Chinese spokesperson spoke about Japan's grave crimes of aggression. This shows that China believes Japan did very bad things during its rule. For China, this history is a warning for the future. China also says that Japan has not properly faced its past. It wants Japan to deeply reflect on its history. This means China wants Japan to admit it was wrong and understand the pain it caused. China feels that without this, Japan cannot be trusted. The anger in its statements comes from this feeling that past mistakes are not corrected. So, the tension today is not just about military plans. It is deeply connected to events from a long time ago. The memory of those 50 years of Japanese rule is like a shadow over every discussion. It makes small problems become big crises. This history explains why a new missile base is not just a military decision. For China, it is a painful reminder of the past and a reason to send a powerful warning. 6. What Taiwan wants. In this difficult situation, it is important to understand what the people of Taiwan want. The island has its own government. This is a government that the people choose in elections. Because of this, the leaders say they speak for everyone on the island. Their main message is very clear and has not changed for a long time. They strongly believe that only the people of Taiwan can decide the future of Taiwan. This is their most important principle. They do not agree with the leaders in Beijing who have a different view. The government in Taiwan wants to follow its own path. The government in Beijing often says that Taiwan is a part of its country. They see the island as a territory that belongs to them. However, the elected government in Taiwan completely rejects this idea. They say that their island is separate and has its own rules, laws, and leaders. For them, the future is a question for the 23 million people who call Taiwan their home. They feel that no other country has the right to make that very important decision for them. This belief is central to everything the government does and says. Because Taiwan's leaders feel this way, they think it is necessary to be strong. They want the island to have the ability to protect itself from any danger. To do this, the president of Taiwan, Ching-te, recently announced a new plan. This plan is all about spending more money on the military. This part of the government is called defense. The purpose of defense is to keep a country safe from attack. The president feels that this plan is essential for the island's security and for its future. The plan is a clear sign that Taiwan is serious about protecting its way of life. The new defense plan is very large and will cost a lot of money. The government plans to spend an extra $40 billion. This money will be spent over a period of 8 years. It will not be spent all at once. The money will be used for many things. It will help buy new military equipment like ships and planes. It will also be used to give soldiers better training. The main goal is to make sure that Taiwan's military is modern and ready. This large amount of money shows the world that Taiwan is committed to its own security. So what Taiwan wants is the freedom to choose its own path. The government's actions all point to this single goal. By creating a large defense budget, they are building a wall to protect their home. They believe it is their fundamental right to decide how they are governed and who their leaders are. This idea is sometimes called self-determination. It is the most important wish of the island's government and many of its people. They want a peaceful future, and they believe that future must be decided only by the people of Taiwan. 7. Money and people. Big plans for defense always cost a lot of money. When governments decide to spend more on their military, it starts a big conversation. People ask where the money comes from and if it is the best way to use it. This discussion about money is a very important part of the tension between Taiwan and China. Recently, the president of Taiwan, Ching-te, announced a new defense plan. The plan is to spend an extra $40 billion on military needs. This is not for just 1 year. The money will be spent over the next 8 years. $40 billion is a very large amount of money for any government. The leaders in Taiwan believe this spending is very important. They say it is necessary to keep the island safe and to make sure its military is strong and ready. China did not agree with this spending plan at all. When officials in Beijing heard about the $40 billion, they said it was a bad idea. A spokesperson from China called it a complete waste of money. They believed that this spending would not help the people of Taiwan. Instead, they warned that it would only create more serious problems. They said the plan could lead the island into a disaster. From their point of view, the money was not for safety, but for creating more conflict. Taiwan had a clear answer to this criticism. A government spokesperson named Liang Wenqi spoke to the public about the situation. He first said that people should look at China's spending. He pointed out that China's own budget for its military is much, much larger than Taiwan's. He suggested that because China spends so much, Taiwan also needs to spend enough money to protect itself. This was his direct reason to explain why the spending was not a waste. But Liang Wenqi also offered a different idea. He suggested a completely different way for both sides to think about money. He said that if peace was the most important goal, then all this money could be used for something better. He suggested that China could use its large military budget to help its own people. This money could be used to improve the economy in the mainland. It could also help ordinary people have better lives. When people have good jobs and can take care of their families, this is called improving their livelihoods. He finished his comments by explaining how this would change everything. If money was used to help people instead of preparing for a fight, the two sides would not be in a state of conflict. They would not be so angry with each other. He believed this would be a good result for everyone in the region. So the choice is between spending on military power or spending on people's daily lives. This big question about money shows how deep the disagreement really is. 8. The end. The situation today is tense. Almost every day, military planes fly in the sky near the island. Ships from the mainland's navy also move in the waters close by. For the people who live there, this is now a normal part of life. They see the news about these activities all the time. It is a constant reminder of the problems between the two sides. The waters that were once for fishing are now a place of military watch. This daily activity shows the disagreement is very serious and is happening now. One person said the two sides are at daggers drawn. This is an old saying. It means that two groups are very angry with each other. They are always ready to fight. They do not trust each other. This phrase describes the feeling in the region well. There is no open fighting, but there is no friendship. The words from both governments are strong and often angry. They disagree on important ideas about history and the future. This deep anger makes finding a peaceful answer very difficult. These daily military movements are part of a pressure campaign. A campaign is a plan with many actions. The goal of this pressure is to show strength and send a message without starting a war. The mainland wants to show it is powerful and serious. For the island, this pressure is a form of harassment. It is meant to make them feel worried. This constant show of military power keeps the tension high. It is a dangerous situation where a small mistake could create a big problem. Because of this, the future is uncertain. Nobody knows what will happen next. Will the planes and ships continue to come every day? Will the angry words lead to something worse? People hope for peace and a safe life for their families, but the governments have different ideas. One side spends billions on defense. The other side says this is a waste of money. They say the money should be used to help people have better lives. These different views make the future hard to see. This is where our story ends, but the real situation continues. The problem is complex with a long history and strong feelings. The daily pressure in the sea and sky is a sign that nothing is solved. The world watches and waits. Will the leaders find a way to talk and build trust? Or will they stay at daggers drawn on the edge of conflict? The final chapter of this real story has not been written yet. The future of the region remains an important question.